Baby Sharks, The Damagenics, Dr. Quizzin' Trivia Woman, Floofzilla, Mars of Pandemonium, Mashley, Nom Chomp, Only Packed 3 Pairs of Undies, Our Best Friends, Shaved Mango, and Toilet Paper.
Okay, it's tight in third.
Yeah. Second place, 2 points on the board. We have, is it you? The Claudia Conway Emancipators, thank God. Hard Quartet, House of Pernt, Just a Small Town Spice Girl, and Simon and Smartfunkle.
Okay.
Woo, which leaves, in first place from last week, we have Jano and Today's the Bidet splashing into the lead. See what I did there?
I saw.
Oh, okay. I don't know. Anyway, so everyone else, don't fret, because many of you were hot on their heels, and I also want to note that from our punny costumes round from last week, there were a lot of really, really, and I mean this, great answers that were not exactly what we were like looking for in terms of what we said the costume was, but we honored a lot of those because they were just so good. For example, if you remember, there was the spoiled milk costume, but some great answers we got were like 1% milk, very on trend, Dairy Queen, etc. Other rounds, similar, great answers. If it made me smile, I gave you the point because I was like, that's good, you're right. That is what that costume is. So congrats to all of you guys. Way to go for being
so creative.
And creative.
Yeah.
That's great.
I was really impressed with all the creativity.
You really were.
Yeah.
Stream Queens on Twitch. I encourage you to start a league amongst your friends for scoring. That's a good idea. And then, one day there'll be an app for that. But in the meantime, you're on your own with us.
That's right.
So,
which isn't a horrible place to be.
Yeah, but don't forget, it is
still anyone's game.
Back to you, Steven.
Back to me. So yes, contestants here in the Zoom room, there are prizes, and we will be getting into those in week 4 of the quiz. Stream Queens playing along at home via Twitch. You're playing for the glory, and that feels pretty dang good too. Okay, so before we get into round 1, we abide by the honor system here of Feelz Right Quiz Night. The honor system. No cheating, no Googling, no Yahooing, no Excite, no other search engines of the 90s, no Bing, no DuckDuckGo, no Encyclopedia Britannica. You gotta just go with what you know. Okay, so without further ado, I think it feels right to launch into
round 1, which as always, as you know, is current events. Okay?
Current events. Okay, here we go. Round 1, question 1. R.I.P. Sean Connery. The ruggedly handsome, and he really was. I was looking up pics of him. Hot. Actor. God, now I'm flustered, embarrassed, and nervous. Okay. The ruggedly handsome Scottish actor who shot to stardom in the 1960s died peacefully in his sleep in the Bahamas over the weekend at the age of 90. Considered by some to be the most iconic James Bond of all time, Connery played 007 in all but one of the following films. Which James Bond film does Sean Connery not appear as Bond? James Bond. Is it A, From Russia with Love, B, Goldfinger, C, Thunderball, D, The Man with the Golden Gun, E, You Only Live Twice, F, Diamonds Are Forever, or G, Never Say Never Again? In which James Bond film does Sean Connery not appear as the titular character? Well, I guess it's not the titular character, but
the character.
The character. The iconic. You know what I mean. You know what we mean. A, From Russia with Love. B, Goldfinger. C, Thunderball. D, The Man with the Golden Gun. E, You Only Live Twice. F, Diamonds Are Forever. Or G, Never Say Never Again. Okay. What do you think? Question number 2. Lots of moon news this week. NASA has announced that it believes there is water all over the lunar surface and not just in the cold, dark places near the poles, which, sidebar, is good news for Celine Dion. Those of you who remember the deep Celine cut, "Do I gotta get water from the moon?" which at this point would now be easier, but anyway, back to the question. The moon also was full this past Saturday night. Other than revealing itself on Halloween, what is special about this most recent full moon? Other than appearing on Halloween, and other than NASA believing that there's water all over the lunar surface, not just at the poles, what is special about this moon, this full moon that appeared this past weekend? Also, I'm onto my fourth sip of gin here, which I sort of unceremoniously dove into the first. I just couldn't hold back.
Yeah, you always have to announce when you're taking a sip of gin.
I normally
Especially
do,
that
but
first sip.
especially that first sip. All right, question 3. Keith Raniere, the founder of the alleged sex cult, that's the topic of 2 popular docu-series currently streaming, has been sentenced to 120 years in prison. The sentence was handed down here in Brooklyn. Raniere maintains his innocence. What is the name of the cult he founded? Keith Raniere, alleged sex cult, sentenced to 120 years in prison. What is the name of the alleged sex cult that he founded? Okay.
I don't know anything about that.
Question 4. Protests have been going on all week in response to the near total ban on abortions in this country. This past Friday, 100,000 people gathered in the streets of the country's capital city in defiance of social distance rules that prohibit groups of more than 5 people. Protests of this scale have not been seen since those that led to the collapse of the communist government in the 1980s. For half a point each, in what country are these protests occurring, and what is that country's capital? Protests going on all week in response to the near total ban of abortions in this country. What is the country, and what is the capital city where 100,000 people came out this past Friday in protest of the ban? Question 5. With Hurricane Zeta ripping through the American South and storm residue felt even here in Brooklyn this past week, Catherine Zeta-Jones has been on my mind.
She's really great in Chicago, don't you think?
She's good in a lot of stuff.
Oh,
Yeah, she's pretty full on. True or false? Catherine Zeta-Jones and Michael Douglas are, in this moment, still married. True or false? Catherine Zeta-Jones and Michael Douglas are still married in this moment. Okay, the lines are open. You can start sending your answers to the sidekick for those of you who are contestants. Those of you who are playing as Stream Queens, watching along on Twitch, go over your answers, talk to a friend, check in with the league you just started with your neighbors and family living all over wherever your neighbors and family live. We're going to do a quick recap going through the questions. Here we go. Question 1. In which James Bond film does Sean Connery not appear? These are the options. In which of these films does Sean Connery, not appear as James Bond? Only one of them. He is not James Bond. Which one is it? Question 2. What is unique about this past weekend's full moon, other than the fact that Celine Dion is happy about it, and the fact that it appeared on Halloween? Question 3. What is the name of the cult founded by Keith Raniere, who's now in the Slammer for the next 120 years? What is the name of that cult?
I don't know. I don't know.
I can understand the appeal of being in a cult.
I can't.
Like a feeling of belonging, a feeling of structure, a feeling of...
I don't need any of those things.
Question 4. In what country are the protests occurring that we discussed as they relate to the near total ban of abortions? And what is that country's capital? That's half a point each for the 2 parts of that question. Okay. And question 5. True or false? Catherine, the iconic Catherine Zeta-Jones and Michael Douglas in this moment are still married. True or false? Okay, great. So, get your answers into the sidekick. And while you do that, and while you mull over those answers, I just want to remind everyone that we are operating Feelz Right Quiz Night as a fundraiser for the always and ever important Ali Forney Center, who do phenomenal work on behalf of homeless LGBTQIA2S+ youth here in New York City. The sidekick, if he can manage, is going to... Oh, he already did it.
But now I'm way behind.
For the contestants, drop a link to our Feelz Right donation page. For those of you watching on Twitch vis-a-vis the Annoyance Theater's Twitch channel, please also feel free to make a donation. You can Google Feelz Right Quiz Night. That's Feelz with a Z or a Z if you're in Canada. And Ali Forney Center, and I'm sure you'll find our donation page. And even if you make your donation not via our page, that's also fine. Just, let's support who are, by and large, some of the most vulnerable people in our society. That's what we're aiming to do here as a Feelz Right community, because you know what? It feels right. Okay, the other thing I want to do before we get to the answers from round 1 is raise a glass to, we have a birthday in the house, avid birders, Catherine McVie. A huge happy birthday to you. Cheers to Catherine.
Love you.
Ostensibly my surrogate mother. After my birth mother, my stepmother, I would probably put Catherine in 3rd place. Well, maybe after some of my aunts. Anyway, Catherine, you're on the list. You made top 10 of the surrogate mothers, and happy birthday to you. The sidekick's mother is also top 10.
Although I'm not sure she's here.
Oh,
which
well.
is strange. So never mind.
Should you call her?
Forget her.
Okay, well, cheers to Catherine. Happy birthday. I dropped my pencil, but now I'm going to take a big sip of gin in your honor, Catherine / avid birders.
Catherine.
Okay. All right, so now let's move on to the answers from round 1. I'm assuming that all of the contestants have sent their answers into the sidekick, and if you haven't, well, just, don't cheat. Our best friends looking really, really perky over there. Okay, so here we go. Question 1. Do we have I can't remember if we have, no, okay, sorry. No, just forget that, you didn't see that. All right, so question 1, R.I.P. Sean Connery appears as Bond, James Bond, in all but one of the films that I mentioned. The answer is, the one of this list in which he did not appear as James Bond is D, The Man with the Golden Gun. That's from 1974. That stars Roger Moore in the role. The answer was D. The answer is D, The Man with the Golden Gun. Now, I did mention that I do think Sean Connery is extremely handsome and was extremely handsome. In fact, I even saw a photo of him at 80 and I was like, wow, he's still a babe. But I will say that Sean Connery, for all his illustrious career, and I know that he's sort of, in a certain sense, from a different generation, and I'm not trying to cancel him or anything like that, but he did have some pretty controversial things to say as they relate to violence against women that I definitely do not agree with. And he did later in life admit that those things were wrong, but he had what I would say are some problematic views as they relate to women and women's rights. So Sean Connery, thank you for your contribution to film, and I'm glad that we as a human race are evolving beyond what some of your attitudes were. Question 2. Lots of moon news this week.
Woo!
We know Celine Dion is happy because she's going to be able to easily get that water from the moon. But what is special about this most recent full moon? Blue moon, blue moon, blue moon, which means there is an extra full moon in the seasonal cycle. 2020, for all of its shenanigans, marks a year where there are 13 full moons and not just 12, and that extra moon is what is known as the blue moon. This happens every 2 to 3 years, or 7 times every 19 years, which is known as the Metonic cycle.
Someone told me it's only every 76 years that it's on Halloween. The full moon.
Okay.
Unconfirmed, but
Well, we'd have to do a quick math, and nobody got time for that right now. But maybe after the show, we'll add that to the list of problems we're going to unpack mathematically.
and I might not have remembered that number correctly, but you know.
All right. Well, we'll do some further research, and we'll confirm that on another day, or maybe vis-a-vis our Instagram page. Okay. Question 3: Keith Raniere, sex cult, 120 years in the Slammer. The name of the cult he founded. Nexium. Nexium, not to be confused with the acid reflux drug. Nexium, all caps, NXIVM, pronounced Nexium. That's the cult I would have joined. I'm sad it's been shut down. Just kidding. Okay, question 4. Protests all week in response to the near total ban of abortions in this country. 100,000 people descended on Warsaw, Poland. Warsaw is the capital city of Poland, so half a point for Warsaw, half a point for Poland. I saw Tank was just pumping their fists.
Ow, ow.
Somebody over on Team Tank is thrilled to the gills, just like a fish. Question 5, Hurricane Zeta. A lot of people displaced, a lot of damage in its wake, and in fact, a lot of crappy weather here in Brooklyn over the last week. But like I said, Catherine Zeta-Jones came to mind in light of the hurricane, and is she still it's not really a question, it's a statement, true or false. Catherine Zeta-Jones is, at this moment, still married to Michael Douglas. The answer is true. True.
Congrats.
Catherine and Michael cuddling in quarantine. I would hope. They did separate in 2013. They reconciled in 2014. And as of 2016, they've been living in rural New York State. Okay. All right.
I just want to say high five
Oh,
to a handful of you.
wow.
Way to go.
I'm impressed.
Some of you are reading the news.
Mm-hmm.
Not me.
I'm impressed. You are. Anyway, I think it feels right to launch into
Round 2, which is called Flippin' Through the Stacks. Flippin' Through the Stacks.
Flippin' Through the Stacks. Okay, everyone. This is what I hope will become a new tradition here of Feelz Right Quiz Night. Yep, there's a prop involved, folks. This week, sorry, just gonna shove Jeff over a little bit. Jeff, you're staying, Jeff.
Don't
You're
worry,
gonna stay
honey.
here. Don't worry, honey. Okay, so Jeff, we love you. Jeff Probst is really a
I'll
phenomenal
text my
host.
parents real quick and see why they're not here.
Oh, okay. We'll keep you updated on that. Okay, so what's gonna happen here is did a little digging through ye ol' record collection, and I'm going to show you one record at a time, a vinyl album, going old school, and ask you a question about it, okay? And that's really it. Flipping through the stacks. Here we go. Record number 1. Michael Jackson, Thriller from 1982, a Halloween classic, of
Very
course.
appropriate.
And Michael Jackson's first #1 album, where it sat atop the charts for 37 weeks. Can you imagine? Thriller is tied with albums from Bruce Springsteen, his lil sis Janet Jackson, and Drake for the album with the most #1 singles. Here's the question. On the inside of this album is a photograph that shows Michael with an animal. What animal is Michael posed with on the inside cover of this vinyl? What animal is Michael posed with on the inside cover of this vinyl? All right. Vinyl number 2. ABBA, Greatest Hits, Volume 2, released in, actually I don't know when it was released, but this album is so stacked with hits, I can't even begin to think what might be included on ABBA Greatest Hits Volume 1. I mean, honestly. All right, so for this one, we're gonna do, it's a classic here at Feelz Right Quiz Night, a little fill in the blanks situation. And Sidekick, I'm gonna need your assistance for this.
I'm nervous.
You are going to be looking for 4 missing words. And we're gonna do this actually twice. So here comes the first rendition.
Okay.
Okay, here we go.
Yep.
Friday night and the lights are low. Looking out for a place to go where they play the right music. Getting in the swing, you come to.
Hint. Anybody could be that guy.
Okay, so 4-word blank, fill it in. We're gonna do it one more time. Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
Friday night and the lights are low. Looking out for a place to go where they play the right music. Getting in the swing, you come to. Fill in the missing 4 words.
Anybody could be that guy.
Okay,
Just
what are the
saying.
missing lyrics? 4 words. Okay. Sidekick the soundtrack, please, while I take a sip. Let everybody mull that one over. I know that a lot of people out there just singing ABBA in their heads over and over.
Love them.
The people singing ABBA over and over in their heads?
Love ABBA specifically, but you too.
Okay, so here we go. Album number 3, Don't Be Jealous. Okay.
Oh.
Channel Orange, released in 2012. This album won a slew of awards internationally, was considered one of the top albums of the year and indeed decade. And in 2020, Rolling Stone magazine ranked the album at number 148 on the magazine's revision to the 500 greatest albums of all time list. The album was the debut full-length from this artist for whomst the album was something of a coming out, with lyrics of the song Bad Religion being directed toward a male object of love. Who is the artist who released this album? Channel Orange. Don't be jealous that I have it. Also, it's a color vinyl.
Is it orange?
It's clear,
Oh. Missed opportunity.
I guess, but it's pretty dang nice. Who is the artist who put out this seminal 2012 album? Something of a coming out, with lyrics to the song Bad Religion being directed toward a male object of love. Okay.
I
yes,
just want to
yeah.
put you all at ease. My parents have been found. They just forgot about me, but now they're here.
Oh, great. Hello, welcome, Doso Menos. Welcome to the Zoom room. And stream queens watching on Twitch, please give a big hello to Doso Menos, who are now here as contestants in the game. Listen, in this day and age, you never know. Album number 4. Oh, yeah. Come on.
Oh.
Hello. Everyone's got it. Everyone needs it. Fleetwood Mac's Rumors, one of the best-selling albums of all time with over 45 million copies sold worldwide and winner of the Grammy for Album of the Year at the 1978 Grammys. Here's the question. This album contains the only #1 song Fleetwood Mac ever had on the Billboard charts. What is it? What is Fleetwood Mac's only ever #1 song from the album Rumors? Okay, let's just flip through the stacks. We've got one more album here coming up. Two Tons of Fun. 2 Tons of Fun. I mean, just before I get to the whateverness of it, just please take in these outfits. I mean, yeah, come on.
They're good.
2 Tons of Fun burst onto the scene with their self-titled album in 1980 after years of toiling as background singers for disco phenom Sylvester. They hit the mainstream hard with the indelible, seminal, and iconic dance floor anthem, It's Raining Men. After the success of It's Raining Men, the 2 Tons renamed themselves. What became the new musical group name for these two fierce queens? 2 Tons of Fun are better known as
Here we go.
what? All right, the lines are open. You can start sending your answers into the sidekick, Mr. Jeffords. We're going to do a quick recap here. What animal is on the inside cover of the Thriller vinyl? Question 1. Question 2, what are the missing lyrics from the tune, the ABBA tune from Greatest Hits Volume 2 that we sang twice? Shudder to think what amazingness is on ABBA Greatest Hits Volume 1. And also interested to know how perhaps ABBA Greatest Hits Volume 1 and Volume 2 were synthesized into ABBA Gold, which I know is an iconic roundup of the ABBA catalog. Question 3, what artist released the album Channel Orange? Love this album. Love all these albums. Number 4, Fleetwood Mac Rumors contains Fleetwood Mac's only ever #1 single, What Is It? And number 5, 2 Tons of Fun. I mean, yes, Queen. What is dangling from her? It literally looks like scrotum. It literally looks like a gold lame.
Probably is.
Scrotum. Anyway, what is 2 Tons of Fun? Or what are 2 Tons of... What is the band name by which 2 Tons of Fun is better known? Okay. All right, putting away the stacks until the next time we do this round. Feelz Right Quiz Nighters. Okay. Now, as you know, as you're all getting your answers into the sidekick, Mr. Jeffords. As you know, every episode we have a sponsor, and in keeping with the Flippin Through the Stacks theme, this week's sponsor is...
Who could it be? Who could it be? Who could it be?
Joni Mitchell. Season 3, Week 2 of Feelz Right Quiz Night is brought to you by the grand dame of Canadian folk herself, Joni Mitchell. But you know what? To say that Joni Mitchell is a folk artist would be extremely limiting. I have spent the last several weeks, and the sidekick has been privy to this experiment, just going through her catalog chronologically. Pretty much you do not.
I'm just teasing.
Do not have all of them, but have almost all of Joni Mitchell's discography here on vinyl. I put Blue at the front because it's probably one of her most iconic albums, but the one that I was listening to today that really caught my yurt, whatever that means, is This one, Hajira, which is definitely an evolution for Joni Mitchell. She's like kind of segueing into sort of more of a jazzy influence, almost like a spoken word kind of vibe. And also the thing that made me want to have Joni Mitchell, thank you, Joni, for being our sponsor today, is that I also watched a couple in-depth interviews with her, and what I love about Joni Mitchell and what I find so inspiring about her is how she really refuses to be put in a box. She is unclassifiable and really, really resists being classified in any way, shape, or form. And one of the things that has really been tugging at my yurt lately is just this concept of personal brand. And I don't want to rant here on Feelz Right Quiz Night because it doesn't really feel right, but just the concept of personal brand, I'm just not really that into it. And one of the things that I was reminded of by Joni Mitchell is how important it is to just be a shapeshifter, to be flexible, to be adaptable, to be evolving, and not to be stuck and boxed in as any one thing. And that is something that she did so just, and has done and is doing so amazingly as an artist, not just as a recording artist, as a visual artist, as a poet. And I highly recommend you dust off your Joni Mitchell vinyls like I did and get into it. Joni Mitchell, the sponsor of season 3, week 2. Okay, now it's time for the Feelz Right Quiz Night Spotlight, a highlight of every week. So I'm just gonna find, let me just find, okay, here we go. Okay, so gobble me, swallow me. I'm going to unmute you. I've asked to unmute you. Gobble me, swallow me. Are you there?
We're here.
I'm here. Hello.
Hi, gobble me, swallow me.
Hi, Stephen.
Hey.
Hi. So, welcome to Feelz Right Quiz Night. Please introduce yourself to all of the contestants and to the stream queens watching on Twitch.
Oh, God.
Are you?
Hi. Gobble, swallow me. Better known as Trevante.
Where are you, Trevante?
Where am I? New York.
New York City?
Yes, sir. New York City.
What neighborhood?
Harlem.
Harlem, New York City. Okay, and the other half of Gobble Me Swallow Me, please introduce
Yes. Hi, I am Ryan, the other half.
Hi,
And
Ryan.
I would have been sitting right next to him, except they're trying to suppress my vote in Connecticut by sending my absentee ballot to the wrong location, so I had to come home to vote in person.
Okay, so is there more to that story, Ryan, that you need to unpack, or what happened?
Let's see. No, they sent it to like 2 addresses ago, and then they sent it to an incorrect address, and I said, I'll just be there in person.
Good for
Please
you.
cancel out my absentee.
Good for you. Thank you for just taking ownership of that. Gobble Me, Swallow Me, Part 1. Trevante, where will you be voting tomorrow? Or have you already
I already voted. Absentee a la Florida.
Okay, right, gotcha.
Thank
All
you.
right, well, listen, your vote is definitely needed in Florida. And Gobble Me, Swallow Me, Part 2. Ryan, where are you? Did you say where you are?
Connecticut.
Connecticut. Okay, cool. So I don't really know what the politics of Connecticut are, but, you know, sounds like it's probably a good place for you to be. So listen, I'm curious to know from you, you two, what's the situation? You would be side by side right now because why?
Because we live together.
You're in a roommate situation?
We are roommates, yeah.
Yes.
Has the roommate situation ever crossed over into anything romantic?
No, it has not. We sometimes sit next to each other and play piano and sing, but that's about it.
What about spooning? No?
No, we haven't.
No.
Well, were you going to say something different?
No. Were you going to say something different?
No.
Were you going
Okay.
to admit to
Always
something?
truth.
Okay, now listen, I know we were obviously in round 2, we were diving into flipping through the stacks, and obviously I'm really taken with Joni Mitchell these days. I wanted to know if there might be some artists, musical artists, who have really captured your imagination these days that are kind of getting you through the days. Who's currently on your ear pods or whatever?
I listened to the same 3 Betty Who songs over and over again.
Literally?
I don't know. You know how Spotify just gives you like your most recent search, and then every time I log on, I'm just like, yeah, I'll do that again. Sure.
Okay. All right. So you're in a Betty Who vortex.
Hmm.
Travante, how about you? What's been tugging at your yurt lately?
Yeah. Well, funny that Fleetwood Mac was one of the records that you pulled out because Dreams has been something that I've been playing on repeat.
Mhm.
And also I'm into like this Son of a Shaft, Stax Records 70s vibe right now.
Okay.
So Son of a Shaft by the Bar Keys has been also on replay.
Cool. So I want to ask you about Dreams and I want to ask you about Shaft, but let's start with Dreams. So what is it about Dreams that you find so tantalizing and hypnotic?
I think maybe it was because October, it's a very witchy like vibe. She's giving like a very like, I don't know, kind of in the feels, paddle turning, living her best life, howling at the moon kind of situation. And I think it has a very lullaby kind of feel to it, which is nice.
Mm-hmm.
And Shaft is something that I'm kind of diving in creatively. So I've been listening to that to kind of come up with a conceptualized situation that I'm working on.
What kind of a conceptualized situation?
I don't know, something that is like leaning towards like women empowerment and strength and numbers and just like strength. Yeah.
Okay. And
I was not asked to be a part of the project.
No, not it's not asked.
I'm kind of imagining that it might be a choreography project. Would that be?
Yeah.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, which is probably many of you and a lot of you out there on Twitch, you might not know that Travante is a phenomenal choreographer and dancer in his own right. So, I mean, I wouldn't want you to sort of, snuff out the flame of your creativity, but is there anything else that you would want to say? Yeah, I don't want you to give too much away, and I don't want you to feel, like you're talking about anything that's too, too nascent. But is there something specifically that inspired you to want to embark on this project?
I just have a lot of friends who I want to work with. So, or like, I like their movements. So, and I haven't gotten the time to do that. And now that I do have time, I kind of want to play with that a little bit.
And also you're back in New York. So you've been in Florida. You were in Florida. When did you get back to New York City?
August 30th.
Okay, so you've been back for a couple of months. And what would you say after spending, roughly 8 months in Miami compared to New York, what would you say are some of the qualitative differences between Florida and New York City? Miami and New York City. What would you say some of the top level observations that you've made? What would you say those are?
Yeah, well, I was in Orlando. I'm from Miami, but I was in Orlando. And, I just don't want to lie to the people, Yeah, no. I'm from Miami, but I was in Orlando. And my sister, everybody's getting to know me so close. My sister lives in Orlando. She moved? I was with her. She did move. They moved.
Okay.
But now she's,
Anyway, so what would you say, Orlando, New York, what have you kind of observed top level?
Oh, well, weather is like obviously one. I think it's a lot quieter in Florida, Orlando. So less people. I don't think I saw a lot of people in Orlando. And if I did, they were in my neighborhood. And I think I saw the neighbor every single day walking her chihuahuas. Well, one walked, the other one was in a stroller, and she pushed that one around the block. But she couldn't go all the way around the block because the one that was actually on the leash can't make it that far. So she rolls the first one, the one that's a little younger, and then walks the other one that's like half the block, and then walks them back. But the weird thing is that it's a block. If you walk half of the block and you walk half of the block again, that's one entire block. So they could make it, but I don't know. I don't get her logic, but I saw her a lot. Her name was Dee.
It
Okay,
sounds
Dee.
like
Everybody was wondering.
sounds like an existential nightmare, and it also sounds like a good name for a book, Incapacitated Chihuahua. Maybe
Yeah.
it's the name of your new dance piece.
What?
Maybe it's the name of your new dance piece.
Maybe it is.
Chihuahua. All right, well, listen, Gobble Me, Swallow Me. So thrilled that you are here in the Feelz Right family, vying for the crown. Thank you so much, and thank you for jumping into this little Feelz Right spotlight highlight.
Anytime.
Thank you.
All right,
Stuff.
talk to you later.
Bye for now.
Okay, so carrying on with the answers from round 2, and then we'll get into the current standings of the. Oh, I guess I still need these vinyls, huh? I was like a little premature in putting the stacks away, putting the antique record box that actually came from the sidekick's grandmother's house. Okay, so here we go. Number 1, Michael Jackson Thriller. The animal that Michael appears with on the inside cover is a baby tiger. A baby tiger. A baby tiger. Looking for tiger or baby tiger. Number 2, ABBA Greatest Hits. Fill in the blank. You come to look for a king. Look for a king. The dancing queen is looking for a king. Okay. All right. Number 3, Channel Orange. Love this album, 2012. Frank Ocean was the talk of the planet. Frank Ocean. Frank Ocean is the answer there. Number 4, Fleetwood Mac Rumors. Travante of Gobble Me Swallow Me fame was just talking about it. Fleetwood Mac's only ever number 1 is Dreams. Dreams, the only number 1 ever for Fleetwood Mac. And 2 tons of fun, better known as the Weather Girls. The Weather Girls. It's raining men. All right, so that brings us to the end of round 2. I'm going to pass you over to the sidekick, Mr. Jeffords, who is going to give us all an update on where we are with the standings.
All right, so 2 out of 3 rounds in. Here's what I'm going to let you know is doing great. Some high fives in that round as well. Congratulations. Nice. So what's going on so far? Well, I'll let you know. 3rd place thus far this evening, Absolute Ho, Hammocks, Lone Wolf, Only Pack 3 Pairs of Undies, Straws for Things, yes, and Tank. Woo! Vying for that 3rd place, because just above them in 2nd place we've got Dr. Quizzin' Trivia Woman.
Okay.
Just a Small Town Spice Girl.
Yes.
Madame Cha-Cha-Chantrelle.
Yes.
That's 2nd place thus far because...
Okay, it's a tight race.
It's really tight for 1st, so you better bring it home in round 3, because in 1st place thus far... we have the artists formerly known as Celine Dion, the Claudia Conway Emancipators, Fluvzilla, GNO, Gulag Nouveau, Nom Chomp, Our Best Friends, and Sleepy in the Suburbs.
Woo!
Woo!
Wow.
So, I mean, but anything could happen in this last round because it is still
anyone's game. All right, so now it feels right to launch into
round 3, which this evening is known as On the Eve of the Vote, Other Eves of Note. On the eve of the vote, other eves of note.
Here in the United States, it is the eve of the vote, which I believe has captured the attention of the world. And on the eve of the vote, other eves of note is the theme for round 3. Question 1. Multiple choice. Grammy Award-winning rapper Eve is best known for Let Me Blow Your Mind, featuring Gwen Stefani, and has also been an actor in the Barbershop film franchise, as well as having her own somewhat short-lived sitcom. In addition to being a rapper and actress, Eve is a panelist on what American daytime talk show? Is it A, The Talk on CBS, B, The Kitchen on Food Network, C, The View on ABC, D, The Chew on ABC, or E, The Real on Fox? Rapper and actress Eve, also a talk show host, panelist on which American talk show? The Talk, The Kitchen, The View, The Chew, or The Real? Market opportunity for a daytime talk show that doesn't start with the. Question number 2. In the mid-1990s, in the mid-1990s, theater maker Eve Ensler created a show that the New York Times called, quote, probably the most important piece of political theater of the last decade. And that was in the era of Rent. The play weaves together interviews that Eve Ensler conducted with 200 women about their views on sex, relationships, and violence against women. What is the play called? Based on the interviews with 200 women, what is Eve Ensler's play called? Okay. Question
You know it.
3. Iconic fashion designer Yves Saint Laurent is the French couturier credited with making high fashion accessible to the masses. Through his line of pret-a-porter fashions in the 1960s, he set the stage for the high street fashions that have persisted into the 21st century. That includes the growing environmental disaster and human rights abuses that characterize the fast fashion industry, but that's a topic for another quiz. Prior to launching his eponymous line, for which he would become known internationally, Yves Saint Laurent was hired at age 19 by this iconic fashion house and was promoted to head designer by the age of 21. What fashion house launched Laurent's career? What fashion house launched Yves Saint Laurent's career? Okay. Question 4. All right, let's flip through some images here. What do all these homes have in common? They all have roofs. And what do all these roofs have in common? Eaves troughs. Eaves troughs. This one isn't doing particularly well. Also known as rain gutters. Eaves troughs, also known as rain gutters. All right, please consider this house with, you'll see the eaves trough on it. That's a house in the Feelz Right Quiz Night style. Please consider this house. If one of the bottom angles of this isosceles triangle, that is the roof, is 38 degrees, how many degrees is the top angle of this triangular roof? So there's the bottom angle, 38 degrees. What is the angle of the top angle of this triangular roof? How many degrees is the angle at the top of the roof? Okay. All right, chew on that. Draw a little sketch if you need to. Question 5. Listening in on conversations for hot goss, or eavesdropping, as it's known, has been a key narrative device in some of the most iconic works of drama and literature throughout history. In this play, by none other than the bard himself, the character named Polonius hides behind a curtain in order to listen in on a conversation between Queen Gertrude and her son in Act 3, Scene 4. When Polonius makes a noise, he is stabbed through the curtain, at which point he yells out,
Oh, I am slain!
as he dies. In what Shakespearean play does this incident occur? In what Shakespearean play does Polonius eavesdrop and then get killed? Okay, gonna do a quick recap of the questions for round number 5. The lines are now open. You can start sending your answers into Sidekick Mr. Jeffords. Question 1 from the round. Which American daytime talk show host is the rapper Eve a host? These are the options available to you. The Talk, the Kitchen, the View, the Chew, or the Real. Question number 2, based on interviews with 200 women, what is Eve Ensler's play called?
It's on the tip of my tongue.
Question 3, what fashion house launched Yves Saint Laurent's career? Question 3, how many degrees is the angle at the top of the roof? Question 4, in what Shakespearean play does Polonius eavesdrop? And those are the questions for round 3. Get your answers into the Sidekick Mr. Jeffords. While you're doing that, I just want to give a shout out to the Annoyance Theater. Absolutely thrilled to be presented by the Annoyance here on their Twitch channel. And we'd like to encourage you to watch some of the other things that the Annoyance has going on live on Twitch. We watched a little bit of Cigarette Sandwich, The Power Hour, which is a sketch show. Very funny, you guys. Really funny. Tim, the host, very magnetic. Really cracked me up. I actually, I was about ready to pop some popcorn and just settle in for the Power Hour.
I said, no, we have a show.
Yeah, the sidekick was like, no, we have a show. We got to set up a ring light. Okay, the other thing that we want to mention to you is that Instagram. On Instagram, follow us at Feelz Right Quiz Night. We post a clue collage every Monday that has all of the
Everything you need to know.
Basically everything you need to know about that week's quiz is given to you before the quiz in the clue collage in a manner that is meant to and designed to inspire your subconscious. So jump on board the at Feelz Right Quiz Night Instagram and let that wash over you, okay? Now, the points from this week are going to be announced at the beginning of next week's episode. And before we go, for those of you who are voting tomorrow in the United States of America,
please.
If you don't have a voting plan, and there are several states where you can register and vote on the same day, but please know your rights on election day. If the polls close while you're still in line, stay in line. You have a right to vote. If you make a mistake on your ballot, ask for a new one. And if the machines are down at your polling place, ask for a paper ballot, okay? I think we have the little Instagram. Oh, yeah, this is the clue collage from this
all
week.
Your answers.
If
They're
you
right
looked
there.
if you looked
Come
at
on.
Instagram before tonight's quiz, you would have seen this image, and basically everything's contained in there. We're going to unpack the clue collage tomorrow on Instagram so you can see how all of the images in that collage relate to tonight's quiz. And until then, and until next week,
Did you give the answers for round 3 yet?
Oh no, I didn't give the answers?
Oh, shit.
Oh my god, you guys, what am I new? I might be. Okay, going back. Yeah, you're right, I didn't. Jeez, I got so excited to move on to the end of the show. All right,
It's okay.
question 1, multiple choice. Rapper, Grammy winning award. What would I do without you, sidekick? Perish and die and
Good question.
maybe not make it through this glass of gin, which might help me remember to give the answers. Question 1, multiple choice. Grammy Award winning rapper Eve, best known for Let Me Blow Your Mind, also a panelist on the American talk show The Talk on CBS. The Talk on CBS, created by Sarah Gilbert of Roseanne fame, and also starring Sharon Osbourne. Okay. Question 2, mid-1990s, Eve Ensler, based on the interviews of 200 women, created the Vagina Monologues. The Vagina Monologues. Question 3, What fashion house launched Yves Saint Laurent's career at the age of 19, and then he became the head designer at age 21? Christian Dior. Dior. And actually, a little bit of a side note here for you. Basically, what happened was Yves Saint Laurent was conscripted by the army. He lasted about 20 days. After 20 days, he went to a hospital. Basically, allegedly, because of the hazing that went down in the army, received electroshock therapy and endured a life of psychiatric difficulty and addiction for the rest of his life after that. And also, while he was conscripted by the army, because he had gone to go be in the army, he was fired by Dior. Question 4. The house with 38 degrees. So we know from middle school mathematics that in an isosceles triangle, the two angles at the bottom are the same, 38 degrees and 38 degrees. We also know from middle school math that the sum total of the degrees of a triangle are 188 degrees. So 180 degrees. So if you were to add up 38 degrees plus 38 degrees, that would be 76 degrees. 180 degrees minus 76 is 104 degrees. The answer to the question is 104 degrees. If you had trouble following that, we're going to regroup here on Zoom at a later date and have a math lesson taught by a 13-year-old. Okay, question number 5, listening in on conversations. Eavesdropping, as it's known, is what the character Polonius did in what play in Act 3, Scene 4 before he was stabbed and uttered the line,
"Oh, I am slain."
The play is, of course, Hamlet. Hamlet. All right, folks. With that, those are the answers. Talked about everything else. So until next week, sleep tight, fight the good fight, be polite, and always do what feels right.
Good night.